Welcome to the Sports Hangover. I'm Michael Benatar, joined alongside J-Dog.
Mike, it's good to see you. This is a midweek show, just to take people
Yeah.
behind the curtain. We normally do end of week, but I hear your NFL picks are ready early this week.
Oh no. They're nowhere near ready. We go through through multiple iterations of our picks. Monday we're on a different game. Tomorrow we'll be on a different game. Friday we'll be on a different game. Then we have to lock them. So, we have a lot of arguing ahead of us. So we're not there yet, but I'll run you through some games.
Yeah, give us 5 games to fade at the very least.
Of course.
You can do that for us.
Well,
we're recording in the middle of the week.
I was going to tell you real quick.
Go ahead.
We went 4-1 last week.
Well, that's the biggest tease you can give to people. That's official.
4-1. Don't fade us.
That's great. Select his picks. We're recording in the middle of the week because Mike is performing this weekend, Sunday morning. And one of the biggest feats of your life, we could say, right?
I would agree. Yeah, I'm running a half marathon, and this is all because of this is all because of this dumb football league that I was a joint creator of. Back in 2012, I made this league. I was booted out because I refused to do and sit inside Denny's for 24 hours and drink a beer or a pancake to reduce my time in Denny's. I said, hey, I'll do a marathon. Denied, and I left the league. And now I'm still
marathon.
running.
If you would have said full marathon, you'd probably still be in the league, but that's a different story.
Listen, the training alone for a goddamn half marathon, I don't think I'll ever do again. It's very intense. I hope I finish. It's been interesting to see your progression, but yeah, I'm doing it. So I held up my end, but the league let me down and disbarred me.
You're very kicked out of that league. The league has moved on. The person who took over your team is in first place without you. Like, there's no mention of Mike anymore in that league, just so you know. And you're doing the punishment anyway, which is great. So 13 miles this
13.1.
weekend.
Yes,
Sunday morning. I mean,
daylight savings.
This is a big deal. You're getting an extra hour of sleep, but I think most people listening, like I'm going through my head of our listeners. Maybe there's a lawyer friend. Maybe there's a party friend in Austin. Maybe there's an old man in the mountains of North Carolina. None of them can run 13 miles.
First of all, I don't think the old man in the woods in North Carolina, he doesn't listen to the show at all. Not at all.
He doesn't listen?
I don't think he listens. But yeah, 13 miles.
I think the old man, by the way, is a Steelers fan. Is the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, I was thinking about the old man Sam. That's who I was thinking.
No, that's our. We don't do names. So that's our rich friend. He doesn't listen. He's too rich to listen. But our other friend in North Carolina. Yes. Anyway, I'm saying you're a better athlete than all of them because I don't think they could run 13 miles.
I think it's interesting. It's endurance, and you can work it up. You can get there. I'm gonna be running for about 2.5 hours nonstop. To finish the race.
Like the whole 10 o'clock window on Sunday morning.
I will be home before football is on Sunday morning. That's what I know because we're starting very early.
Oh, you're starting very early.
Yeah. We're
2.5 hours. That's a lot of nonstop jogging.
A lot of nonstop jogging. I went jogging after our Sunday football. After I was over at your house, went on a little run afterwards. The
training's been intense. It'll be good to get your life back a little bit.
Yeah, I don't mind it though. I will say it's very therapeutic. If you've never done 2 hours running before, you have no more anxiety or anxiousness afterwards. You have nothing. You have physically, you're burnt, and mentally, you're just as burnt because you've went through 2 hours in your mind. 2 hours running, you go through different phases of like, what am I doing tomorrow? To like, did I fuck up this thing at work or did I do this? You go through all this shit in your head for 2 hours. It is very mental for sure.
It doesn't sound like a good thing to be so fried, but in both ways, physically and mentally, that you can't think of anything after your run. But good luck. Good luck with that. I just mentioned our lawyer friend. We actually made a bet one time. He was going to run a full marathon, 26 miles, which what the training is for 13.
I can only imagine.
He was never going to make it. And I said, you will owe me a trip to Pebble Beach for golf if you don't run this marathon. And he said, deal. And we shook on it. We committed to it. And our lawyer friend has never run a marathon.
How does he have his whole life to achieve this goal? Or
it was like a year, and the year passed like 13 years ago. So he definitely owes probably both co-hosts of the Sports Hangover podcast a trip to Pebble Beach.
Jeremy, I'm trying to tell you, I've been playing a lot of 2K golf, and I am loving virtual golf. I'm playing on the Xbox. I'm enjoying it so much. I'm learning things that I've never learned on the golf course before. The way to different clubs interact with the ball and how to chip it. And I'm really learning a lot. It's actually really nice. I'm playing a lot of courses, really enjoying myself, much better than actually being out there and being terrible at golf. Enjoying the virtual golf a lot. I highly
You're actually
recommend the golf
decent
game.
at virtual golf. That's the
Oh,
difference, it
so good.
sounds like.
So good at virtual golf.
Virtual golf, it sounds like, Mike, is going to be the way to get more people into golf as a sport because a friend of mine started a brand called Tomorrow Sports. He's working with Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy are the main investors. And today they announced all of the athletes and different celebrities who are investing in their company. It's going to be like virtual arenas. I think I sent you some of these images when it was announced a few weeks or months ago. Virtual arenas hitting into a screen, but it's like music, crowds, famous people. And today they debuted the list of investors. We weren't planning to talk about this, but Josh Allen is investing in them. Justin Timberlake is investing in them. Steph Curry is investing in them. All the biggest stars from athletes and celebrity are investing in this brand called Tomorrow Sports.
Is it going to be similar to Top Golf? Because I feel like that's what they're trying to jump on the bandwagon, right? Like maybe this can be indoors. You can kind of go to a place and hit balls.
Well, it's not go to a place. It's like a show or a series. And so it's like Top Golf meets esports. So you're watching celebrities and golfers kind of playing a version of Top Golf. And maybe the traditionalists like me might say, hey, I want to see golf balls in the air because that's what I like. But you just said you're enjoying it more on the video game than in real life. And I feel like there's a lot more of you out there than me out there.
Jeremy, I'm playing like local courses back home, like East Lake or
East Lake's in there.
East Lake's in there.
We didn't have to put that in. Innisbrook's beautiful. Shout out to our rich friend. I've played Innisbrook with our rich friend. If you know why, he's rich, and it's a great course. I've had some birdies out there. It's a great course.
Really just enjoying it. It made me like, oh, should I go play? And I'm like, no, I don't want to be out there for.
Oh, you almost thought about it though.
I thought about it a little bit, but then I told you I want to play pickleball. I think pickleball is my new sport. I need to take that up, play it, get into some like leagues or something. It seems like a great sport you can get into that you can still work out a little. I know you played tennis with our mutual friend over the weekend. You were sore.
I was gonna say we need a poll, like tennis or pickleball. What's next for us in mid-30s age group? Is it too soon for pickleball? No. Are we too old to run around the tennis court? Like I would open up the poll to our listeners to see.
Let's open it up. I think it's gonna be pickleball. Pickleball is hot right now. I haven't played yet. I want to go play. So we have to play maybe next week after my race when I'm back to normal.
Yeah, your legs have to recover for like a month, right?
I don't know about a month, but I should be fine. I should be fine the next day if I trained correctly. So we'll see.
Well, someone, Mike, I hope that has his legs under him this Sunday is Bradley Chubb on the Miami Dolphins. What a trade deadline we had.
Jeremy, I have a list of all the trades here graded by some website. I don't know what website I pulled it from. Where would you grade that trade out of all the other trades on the weekend? Because I feel like Miami's really going all in. Tua's getting a little cocky. I'm seeing some videos of him like, oh, what'd you think about that long ball? Like just, he was like throwing the ball. I don't know. It was like some clip of him like on the stand. I don't know. Do you think the coach has it in him to actually take them all the way to the Super Bowl? Like, are they still so young? Like they haven't meshed enough. Like, do you need more time than what they're doing right now? Because they're kind of going all in. I feel like everybody copied the Rams from last year. They're like, let's just go all in. Let's see what happens.
The all-in is amazing that teams keep doing this, and they're doing it with draft picks and salary. Like the Dolphins have to sign Bradley Chubb in the offseason or he's a free agent, and he goes back to the Broncos or anywhere he wants, and the Dolphins gave up a one for like 10 games or less of a great pass rusher. I love the trade. I think the Dolphins head coach can definitely get that offense to the Super Bowl. The biggest problem is the defense. And if Bradley Chubb fixes that and he stays healthy and he's getting to the quarterback like Myles Garrett does, they have similar pressure rates, then the Dolphins really could go to the Super Bowl. They already beat Buffalo this year. What else do they have to prove?
Well, I think when it comes down to pressure time, right? Like if Tua gets hit again, like, is he going to be able to play? How many weeks would he be out? It just, and like, the week after you even said he went head first into a tackle, like the week after he came back from getting a concussion. So he's got to be careful out there. I don't want him to get a little too cocky.
He hasn't played much since he came back. And so I think the Dolphins as a whole are getting cocky. I actually have this as a bullshitter belief. I know we're going to get to the rest of your trades, which you have there, but just as a bullshitter belief. Today, Tua mentioned at the podium that you're talking about, he mentioned we're not afraid to talk about the Super Bowl around here, is what he said.
Whoa.
And I just want to ask you,
I don't like that.
Bullshit or believe, should the Dolphins be talking about the Super Bowl?
I think it's something, it's almost like if we were talking about, or how about this? If I was talking about, oh yeah, I'm gonna finish the race. I'm gonna do a great time. I'm doing all this. In one sense, it's like, yeah, you're hyping yourself up, you're getting yourself ready. You can visualize yourself there. You know, like people always say, visualize that you're there. I don't know if you need to be vocalizing this stuff. You can think of that and all in your head and hype people up. But I think talking about it, I almost think it's a jinx. It's like you just put a curse on yourself and you're not going to win the Super Bowl because you guys are talking about the Super Bowl. So
I tend to agree. Don't talk about it with the media. If you want to talk about in the locker room, maybe do that. Not with the media, not with us. Like, we're the media. We're going to latch onto this stuff because, like you said, a month ago, literally 4 weeks ago, they were calling for attempted murder charges on the Dolphins head coach. Like, that's what Twitter neurosurgeons were doing. That's what they were calling for.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about Bradley Chubb and Tyreek and Waddle and Tua in the Super Bowl. So I think we all just need to take a step back and say, no one's having attempted murder and they're probably not going to the Super Bowl. And let's just meet in the middle like we always should.
So what do you think about the other trade the Dolphins did? They got Jeff Wilson Jr., a guy I spent some money on in a fantasy league we're in. Is this a move that matters at all? Like, why did they not, like, they sent out what?
They sent Chase Edmonds in the Bradley Chubb trade. Chase Edmonds signed that big contract in the offseason. We thought he was going to be the starting running back. Mostert's been great. Mostert's been the starter. I think that was like a salary dump to include him in the Broncos trade because Chubb will cost a lot coming back. So don't read anything into that. Okay. He's dropping balls. He wasn't worth his contract. And Jeff Wilson, he always kind of plays like 3 games a year when the Niners' backs get hurt. We've never seen him over a longer run, but seems decent. What other trades jumped out at you?
I mean, what do you think about TJ Hawkinson traded to the Vikings? This is a tight end coming from Detroit. Now, is Detroit giving up? Have they just given up right now? It's like, we're kind of done. Are they going to try anymore? I don't know why they would be sending them in division, right? A tight end that they like to the Minnesota Vikings, right?
Or I thought Detroit gave up when they hired Dan Campbell as head coach.
Okay. Well, maybe they did. I mean, has any team that's been on what's it called? What's the football thing in the summer? What Hard Knocks. Has anybody on for Hard Knocks ever gone to the Super Bowl the year they were on Hard Knocks?
No, definitely not.
Definitely not. It's never happened.
It's never happened.
Were the Rams on? The Rams were on there when Goff
with
was
the
there.
Chargers. That was a combined LA. That was an LA Hard
because it's kind of getting boring a little bit. Like, there's no characters, there's no like real vibe to it. I didn't really like I mean, for the Vikings, I think it's good. For the Lions, I don't think it's good. So I don't know where we really want to rate this thing, but it doesn't make sense because you're just getting picks and you lost a guy that I felt like was a pretty key aspect to your offense.
Mike, not only are they not getting picks, they just are getting different picks than the ones they had. They're like moving up. It's like they gave up a 4 to get a 2 or a 4 to get a 3 is what they got in the trade. So they still had to give up more picks. So the Vikings only slid back into the next 2 drafts and 2 different picks to get a playmaking tight end, TJ Hawkinson, who's picked top 10 overall in the draft less than 4 years ago. Must have been 3 years ago if he's got one more year on his rookie contract. Top 10 pick. I think underutilized. Who was the best quarterback? Jared Goff was the best quarterback he had there. I mean, it was worse before Goff even. So
was Stafford there?
Was hurt. Well, Stafford was hurt. I don't think Stafford threw to him that much. Maybe a little bit. Maybe 1 year. I thought it was a nice trade for the Vikings and helps their offense. And they're sneaky 6-1. No one talks about it, but they are. And now they just got better.
Well, they're kind of like the Giants. Like, do we actually believe they'll go that far? And that's where I'm like,
yeah, wait, that's completely bullshit. Sorry, but you just compared the Giants and Daniel Jones to the Vikings and Kirk Cousins. And I think Cousins is better than Jones. I think the Vikings receivers, Jefferson, Thielen, Osborne versus the Giants. You can't name one. You can't even name a receiver.
I know, but they're almost the same record, right? Aren't they?
And now Hawkins, they are, but I just think one team is real and one team is not.
Okay, we'll see.
Put them in the same category.
I don't know if I ever trust Kirk because Kirk has those weird schedules. He only likes primetime Kirk, which is his 10 a.m.
He's been playing a lot of 1 o'clock Eastern time. I traded him specifically for the 1 o'clock Eastern run that we're on now. They play Washington at 1 o'clock, then they play Buffalo next week at 1 o'clock, and then we ship them out because they have a few primetime games coming.
Okay, good. What do you think about Calvin Ridley going to the Jags?
I like that trade. Ironically, Calvin Ridley bet on a Jags-Falcons game, apparently. He bet on the Falcons to win at least, which when Pete Rose was manager of the Reds, he bet on the Reds to lose, and he managed them. So that's a little bit different. So at least Ridley bet on his team to win. I'm a fan of the Jags. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, our boyfriend of the show, Marvin Jones.
Of course,
Add Ridley here next year. It's not like an injury, right, where he's not coming off a torn ACL. He should be fine physically. It's not like a domestic, maybe this is bad to say, but it's not like a domestic violence abuse thing. It's not like a recurring thing. He bet on football. He got in trouble. He got an awful suspension for him. I think he'll be great when he comes back.
Was it the whole season?
He's out for, which is much longer than Deshaun Watson, than other violence we've seen around the league. So it called into question.
Okay. I mean, it seems kind of like a weird move. Like it doesn't help you today. So they're still playing for next year. So they're clearly not going to go all the way this year. They're not like committed to this.
The Falcons.
Well, not the Falcons. I'm saying the Jags.
Well, the Jags only gave up draft picks next year, so they're not hurting their team this year. They gave up James Robinson a few weeks ago. That's because Travis Etienne's a stud.
Well, I wonder also if Calvin Ridley had a high salary. So maybe just like Falcons kind of giving up on them, but they're right now like they're leading the division, so they're not really giving up. They're just maybe stocking up for next year. I don't know.
Well, the Falcons were always trading Calvin Ridley. They were never bringing him back after he bet on the team.
Really,
they said that they're never bringing him back, so they had to trade him. It was inevitable.
So why? Okay, this doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. Why would they not let him come back after he gambled on the game, but they let other guys come back, like you mentioned, domestic violence, car accidents, drinking, doing whatever it is in public. He just gambled on the game. Literally, they promote gambling nonstop all the time.
Good point.
Our lawyer friend said Sports Hangover is turning into a gambling show. I said, well, we talk about more than just gambling.
Be careful. Be careful with that accusation.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think so, but okay.
Take him to court over that.
I think it's weird. I think it's a weird thing when everybody's promoting it. The NFL's behind it. It's everywhere. And they just like
it looks bad. It's a bad look for the NFL when the suspension is so different than other suspensions, like we mentioned. I think for the Falcons and their perspective, it's Calvin really knew the rules and chose to violate them and chose to turn his back on his teammates. Where I guess you would argue Deshaun Watson didn't choose to have this public scandal. However you look at it, I don't know if there's a way to connect the dots, but Ridley bailed on his teammates and the team was ready to bail on him.
What do you think about Chase Claypool going to the Bears?
I think it's funny. The Packers also offer their second-round pick, apparently, and the Steelers chose the Bears pick. He's not going to catch many balls from Justin Fields, so it's like maybe the Bears should have draft picks and not like 25-year-old receivers on your team. I don't know. I would have liked the Packers to do anything to help that offense because it's hard to watch lately.
Yeah, I don't know what they did. And I mean, there's all these clips of the Packers like basically on Instagram, just memes of them like not getting any receivers for him. And then you see Aaron Rodgers like laughing on the sideline, losing a game. I think he's given up. He's totally done. He's out of the game. Game's over for him.
A couple things there. One, I think it does feel intentional when they don't help Rodgers time after time after time. Like how many times have they been in a situation to give him a receiver, whether it's a high draft pick, they don't do it, whether it's free agency, they don't do it. And now the Chase Claypool thing, like throw in a 5th round pick of some linebacker who's never going to play for you probably, or maybe make your special teams in 3 years. Throw that in, get him a weapon, try something. You have Aaron Rodgers here because it's not going to get any better when he leaves. We talked about that. Jordan Love, we talked about on last week's show. Jordan Love is not the guy. They don't have a replacement. There's no receivers. None of the receivers that are rookies have popped yet.
What's the deal? What's the deal with the Packers? Why are they so? I know it's like the only like public team, right? Like there's no real owner of the Packers.
I mean, there's like a trust who makes decisions. It's not like, yes, the Packers are publicly owned. Mm-hmm. It's not like the fans who are owning them are making decisions for them. There's still a trust of white men doing that.
But it seems like they're totally against what every other NFL team does. They don't make trades. They don't move up in the draft. They don't do anything. They're like, we draft and we make you a star. So clearly it's not working. Right? Like, I think it might work in like you might get lucky drafting here and there, but they're not making big moves. Everybody else giving up draft picks, going for this, going for that, making moves that are helping their team. Packers are just sitting there for the last few years. Like, what's going on? Like, you got Jordan Love, but that clearly is not going to hit. So I don't know. It confuses me.
You make a great point. There's a clip going around last night. I saw on Instagram, Mike McCarthy. It was a couple years ago when he was the Packers head coach. Did you see this on the trade deadline?
Yeah.
And the reporter said, "What about the trade deadline around here?" And McCarthy didn't know when the trade deadline was. It had just passed, apparently.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what's going on in the Packers organization. They have no idea trades are happening.
My last thing on Aaron Rodgers, I can validate this on Sunday because I told you this. One, I told you they were going to get blown out by the Bills so bad he should be on the Bills.
Yes.
That didn't quite happen, but they still lost.
They did lose, yeah.
And the other thing I told you is they should trade Aaron Rodgers after they lose to the Bills to a team who could actually run with him this year. And the two examples were the Rams and Niners. Let me ask you this. Are the Rams better or worse today if they made a run at Aaron Rodgers at the trade deadline?
I think they'd have to be worse because he'd have to learn the system. And it seems like Rodgers really needs to know his wide receivers. That's what I've at least noticed so far. Now, maybe Stafford isn't the best, but he seems like he fits well in whatever they want to do. Doesn't throw to all the receivers they have there, but I think it's I think it's kind of hard. It's hard to just throw somebody in as a quarterback into a new team and then be like, all right, let's go win a Super Bowl. It's got to be the beginning of the season. I think that at least for a quarterback, I think any other player or position, you can get right in. Christian McCaffrey traded next day. He was on the field playing a few snaps. So I don't know. It's weird.
You might be right. I don't think Stafford's saving the Rams this year. I don't think he's leading them to the playoffs. And I think they'd be better with Rodgers, even though Rodgers has been bad. The other team is the Niners. And I think that's more, Shanahan apparently is friends with Rodgers. Rodgers went to Cal, so he's from the Bay Area. I could have sensed, adding Rodgers with McCaffrey, adding them both because Jimmy G isn't getting him there. I think it's very risky because they'd actually have a shot to make a run where I'm not sure the Rams have a good shot right now.
49ers have one of the other chances of doing it, right? It's like you see, 3 teams that can go to the Super Bowl. I guess they're not AFC, but Dolphins maybe have a run for it. The Bills, Kansas City. I would say the 49ers. And then I don't know who else in the NFC. I guess the Eagles are the only
Eagles,
other.
Of course. People are putting the Cowboys there.
No,
you're probably not.
No.
People are, Mike. I mean, they're 6-2.
Who are these people? Are you on a Dak Love thread somewhere on Reddit that I don't know about?
I mean, I watch you know what I watch is Get Up on ESPN, and it's bad stuff. It's bad opinions, but you know what they talk about on my work from home days?
What do they talk about?
Saying this. They talk about Dak and the Cowboys defense making a run, and I think they could have made a move. Speaking of the trade deadline for Brandon Cooks was upset he wasn't traded. Apparently, the Houston management misled him and thought he was going to be traded, and he wasn't. Why isn't Cooks on the Cowboys? Why isn't Cooks on the Packers? I think he could have helped both those teams.
I think I'm going to bet against Houston this week because if Cooks is out, I don't think they have a defense, and it's just kind of depressing when the organization's like not wanting to do shit. But I don't know. That's it for. I guess the other trade. I don't know much about pass rushers, but Robert Quinn traded the Eagles. Seems like they're going all in. Seems like there's like a few dominant teams and then just everybody else. Like most of these dominant teams are going to make it to the Super Bowl. Other teams, good luck because I don't know.
You're right.
You're right. Eagles look unstoppable. I don't know why.
Watching that game and with you on Sunday on Red Zone, who's stopping the Eagles? When every play, Hurts has an option, 3 options. He can run it himself. He can hand it to the running back or throw it to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, like all great pass catchers. Who's stopping that? You don't have enough humans on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know. They might go undefeated. Is that crazy to say?
That would be kind of crazy to say, but if you look at their schedule, it doesn't look crazy. I saw the schedule and it's just NFC East teams and then a few other teams sprinkled in.
At Dallas might be the game. You don't like to hear it, but at Dallas defense, Micah Parsons.
No way.
By the way, this is weird, Mike. Micah Parsons is in Philadelphia at the World Series this week. Cowboys must have a bye because I saw him there last night.
Yeah, I don't think they're playing.
Micah Parsons is a Cowboy supporting the Eagles in Philadelphia at the World Series, or supporting the Phillies rather in the World Series in Philadelphia. It's just kind of weird. Like, what's the Dallas guy doing?
Sometimes you got to go back for your home team and support it. That's all it is, right?
Did you want to talk about the World Series?
I have not watched it at all. Do you want to tell me about it? What's going on?
Here's how it. You know that. He was yelling at someone last night.
Pissed. Yeah,
he was too pissed. Here's what I'll tell you before we get to your picks to do this week.
Yeah.
The World Series is a classic matchup of good versus hot, of good versus clutch, and it really makes you think about what you want. One, throughout the season, you probably want good because that's how you are good, right? You're over the long period, you're going to be the best team. But then the Astros are the good team. They're running into the Phillies, who are hot. And the Phillies had a terrible record all season. They fired their manager in the summer. They weren't going anywhere. And then they got hot. I know you see this in the NHL too. The Braves did it in the playoffs last year. Same situation. All their guys got hurt. They got hot. They won the World Series. The Phillies are now 2 wins away from winning the World Series after firing their manager in the middle of the year. It's another example of being hot might actually be better than being good.
Right now, where are we in the World Series?
The Phillies are up 2-1, 2 more games in Philadelphia. They could finish it before it even goes back to Houston, which, by the way, Thursday night, Phillies Astros World Series game at the same time as Texans Eagles Thursday night football.
Isn't
that crazy?
That is kind of crazy. How random, because that was not scheduled in, right? It was just kind of random that they're all going to be there.
It's so random. The World Series game wasn't supposed to be on Thursday. They got rained out on Monday, so it shifted the games back to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's supposed to be off day for the NFL. Also, my last thing on the World Series is every time the Phillies have won a World Series in their career, there has been an economic collapse following it. Every time.
So we don't want them to. We don't want them to win.
08 was literally the last time the Phillies won the World Series.
Oh my God.
And so they're 2 wins away from the World Series. We're on the doorstep of another economic collapse.
So do you believe that guy that tweeted out in 2019 and predicted the last 2 World Series winners? And now if the Phillies win this one, it's the 3rd one that he's gotten. Do you believe it? And do you bet the Mariners next year to win the World Series?
Listen, I want to know who the guy is, where he came from. I need to sit down with the guy. Is this legit or is he spinning out tweets? Like, did he do one for the NHL that's completely wrong and he's just doing this all the time in one hit?
Sure.
Is that possible? I need to know. But if he's just like, this is one of my 3 tweets of my life, it just came to me, then I need to know what else has come to this guy.
Well, we got to get him on for Sports-Adamus. We're getting close to our end of the year show. And we're also getting really close. In 2 weeks, Jeremy, we will be moving on to our 13th year at the Sports Hangover.
How is that real?
13 years, Jeremy. 13.
That's like half my life.
We will be moving on to the 13th year of the Sports Hangover. I bought the domain November 2010. November 23rd, 2010. It always pops up on my things like, oh, your Sports Hangover is renewing. So that's when we started the Sports Hangover back then in 2010.
Unreal. Congratulations. Yeah. We're having our bar mitzvah.
Here we go. God. It's kind of crazy because you always hear like these radio people that have been on the radio for 25 years. And then like 13 years doing this doesn't seem like real 13 years. Like so much has happened. This is just like a blip in like, your weekly life. But 13 years is a fucking long time. We have a lot of shows.
I mean, we had a summer of Tim Tebow that really carried us.
Summer of Tim Tebow. We also went to YouTube for 1 season, and we just only did YouTube videos a little too early before YouTube really popped off. But yeah, we'll renew it. We'll like go back, and I want to take some clips from some of our first shows and kind of bring them back in for our 13th year.
That'd be great for our 13th. Wow, if we had a baby when we started the show, the baby would now be having a bar mitzvah. That's just insane to me. Like, and maybe would have grown up that much.
Playing sports, maybe on the show with us.
We should have had a baby at that time and just watched it track with us.
We really should.
Who would raise it?
All right, I got picks. We went 4-1 last week.
Congrats.
We're feeling good. You watched me and a mutual friend stress out about the most, I guess, exciting game of the weekend. The Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons back and forth. That was a wild game.
Speaking of Sports-Adamus, I was calling some of the craziness in that game. I think I called a touchdown. I think I called the missed field goal. It was crazy. It was fun. I love when Red Zone has like one good game at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern to get you to the 4:25 Eastern game. When there's that 20-minute window, and I really think Scott narrowed in on Panthers Falcons and showed us all that craziness.
It was a great game. I really liked it. Really makes you see how hard gambling is because we still lost that bet, even though the Falcons won. We were on the wrong side. It was 4. Our number was 4, and they won by 3. So that's the game.
You should have won it. I think when the PJ Walker touchdown. Oh, you were on the Falcons side. So PJ Walker.
Falcons. Yeah.
and threw the Hail Mary to DJ Moore. DJ Moore was penalized, which caused the extra point to go back, and missed it, which gave you the overtime chance. But it turns out
wild.
DJ Moore should not have been penalized because he did not take his helmet off in the field of play.
Yeah, very, very weird game. And that's why it's so hard to gamble right now. We currently, let me see where we're at. We're trying to work our way back up to 500 right now. We are 18.
You don't have to tell us that. You don't have to say that.
We're 18 and 22 on the year.
All right. So another 4 in 1 week might get you there.
All right. So this week we talked on Monday. We went over a few games. I'm just going to show you the 3 games I really liked, and then there's a few that we mutually agreed on. So first game, I loved what Washington did last week. I'm in on Heineke. I'm all for it. I do not believe in Minnesota one bit. Washington's getting 3.5 at home. This may or may not be in our contest, but I like the idea of it. Getting a team that's kind of like working towards something odd. Clearly, Carson Wentz was not the answer. Heineke's been waiting there. He's been there for 3-4 seasons, just backing up and always just barely winning those games or coming close to those games. I don't believe in Minnesota. I'm here for it. I know you believe in Minnesota. So what do you think?
I'm on the other side because I do believe in Minnesota. But what did you tell me about Taylor Heineke? That's very true.
What did I tell you about Taylor Heineke? Do I know something? Well, I don't know. What did I tell you?
Mike, you told me he's got that dog in him.
He does have that. Yeah, he does. He really does.
And he did. He really did. He gritted another one out. That Colts game was ugly. The Colts were winning the whole game. Washington was in bad shape. They're losing guys to injury. And then fourth quarter, he just wills them to victory. It was like,
Scary Terry.
What that guy does.
Catching balls.
Scary Terry took over. And that was cool because he's from Detroit. That was cool to see.
It was a good game. All right. So
I don't like that bet. I'm on the Eagles, but that's okay.
Okay, good. Next one, the New York Jets at home.
Getting his confidence back. You guys hear that? He's been asking for advice lately. Now he goes, okay, good.
New York Jets at home, 12.5 point underdogs at home. This is a home division dog. This is in our manifesto here. Anything 10 plus. Remember, we got to play it blindly. It's been hitting this year. I think it's the right play. I'm trying not to be overly thinking about it too much. I can't just look at this and be like, Buffalo's the best team. New York is the worst team. I just have to play it, and they're getting 12.5 points. I don't know how they're going to stop the Buffalo Bills at all. This might not make the contest, but this feels like the right play to play this weekend.
It's such a hard bet to make because you're just sweating it so long. And I know you've gone away from the manifesto at times this year by, I think you bet the Bucks to cover against the Panthers and the Panthers money line hit in that game.
Yeah,
so you're really wavering back and forth, but you're back to the manifesto side, which is good. Yeah. The Bills are so much better than the Jets. Zach Wilson's bad. The Jets have a good record. They're 5-3, I think. Yeah, I don't think a 5-3 team's ever been a 12.5 point dog at home. So that sentence alone means you should bet the Jets.
I love that you're on it. Also, our very minimal stats here tell us this game should be a 9. They should be 9-point favorites. So we're getting 3.5 points worth of extra juice on this game. So there's a little value in it. Buffalo's good. But, sometimes like Buffalo, they're on the road. Like, do they really need to score that many points? Sometimes they start slowing down. Maybe they'll run the ball a little bit. I could see this getting really close. We saw some of those really bad teams keep it really close. Even like Green Bay. Green Bay kept it close. Green Bay's terrible. At least that's what we've seen so far.
You know what I like about the Jets when I watch the Jets? Zach Wilson's been terrible, but they're winning games. Like I said, they're 5-3. So you know what that means? They're not going to move off of Zach Wilson, and they're going to invest in him, and they're going to build around him. Yet the whole time he's been terrible. They just can't see it themselves. It's perfect.
It's sad. My next game, listen, I actually might change this. I was on Carolina, but the more I sit and think about it, how bad this was before the Cincinnati Cleveland game on Monday night. I did this before the game. I was on Carolina early in the week. I'm back on Cincinnati. Cincinnati laid a dud Monday night. Carolina was hot. PJ Tucker's looking good. I feel like that juice is going to run out. So I'm going to go with the home favorite, 8.5 points at home, playing Carolina. I really like Carolina here, but I think the right play is to play Cincinnati. It's kind of a bounce back game. They performed terribly against Cleveland. Did you watch some of that game? It was so bad.
I did. They made Jacoby Brissett look like Josh Allen. He looked amazing.
He looked great. Yeah, just slinging balls, running all around. It was, I can't believe it. So I got it. It's almost like you have to play this right now. I don't know what the current line is. This was Monday's line. Hopefully,
It's amazing though that you watch that game and you're still betting on the Bengals. I would think you just looked at the score and missed it because it was that ugly. It was on Monday night, which always makes me question, like, it's a short week. So how do you bounce back after a short week when you enter your meeting room on Tuesday morning instead of Monday morning? You're at a disadvantage already. They play Sunday. I know they're at home. The Panthers,
we're at 7.5 right now. 7.5.
The Panthers are hot. Panthers are hot. It's hard to bet against them right now. Don't like that.
Panthers are hot, but I don't know if they really have it in them, right? Like their star player left. PJ Tucker takes over. Can't keep going on. If Cincinnati's real, this might be the play, but we'll see. We have some notes in here. This game, the perceived game, it should have been 12.5, and we're getting it at 7.5. So that's what we have our numbers in this. Yeah, so there's a little
the Monday bias from people. Monday night bias.
All right. So this is one game we agree on. I don't know if it's the right play. Mutual friends really trying to talk me off of it, but I want to ride with the Seahawks. I want to keep going with them. They're playing good. Division road dog, not a division home dog, but a division road dog, getting 2 points on the road in Arizona. I don't think Arizona's good at all. Hopkins is good, and that's it. I'm taking Seahawks. Geno Smith and DK and Lockett and Walker, those are studs. I'm all in. I'm all in on that team.
Why is your mutual friend, our mutual friend, trying to talk you off the Seahawks? We told him when you believe in the Seahawks, when you have a feeling, a vibe, a little sports-your-dom shift in the air, let Mike cook is what we say when it comes to the Seahawks, and I feel like he's not letting you cook. I saw the line. It makes no sense. Why are they home underdogs again? Are people not watching the NFL this year?
They're home favorites. Arizona's a home favorite, I think, at least. Yeah, it's
Wait,
1.5 right now.
But it's in Arizona.
Yeah. In Arizona, they're 1.5 point favorites.
So Seattle's up. I understand. I thought it was in Seattle for some reason. It doesn't change my mind. Pete Carroll is making magic with that roster.
Magic.
I would be on the Seahawks side as well. Let you cook when it comes.
Well, this is what he wrote here. Now he gave me slight agreement, but he said, "Let down ? Watch the money." I don't care where the money's going. Seahawks the right play here. It's just like he's basically planting the flag to be like, we need to stay off this game. That's what he's trying to do. But we'll see what happens this week. There's one other game that we had mutual agreement on, but I think I might stay off this game. It's the Thursday night game. We don't play Thursday night games, but we liked Houston getting 13.5 points at home. I can't do it. If Brandon Cooks is not wanting to play and sitting on the sideline, I'm off this game. So I'm not there for it. That's it. I mean, I have some. Do you want me to read our mutual friends? He has 4 picks.
No. I don't care about his. But I have 2 games that you did not talk about, and I'm questioning them because I've been taking a look at the spread as well and maybe jotting down a few notes each week.
Okay.
The Jaguars are at home against the Raiders, and they're an underdog. They're a 1.5 point underdog to the Raiders. What have the Raiders shown us that they should be favored in any game against any opponent, let alone on the road going west to east?
In our notes here, we have Vegas bounce back game after a shutout. There is a stat in our manifesto. If you were blown out and lost by, did they lose by over 28 points?
24-0. Okay,
pretty close. But if you lose by that, let me look where our stats are here. Dogs, home. I can find it, but it's a pretty good convincing stat when you lose blowout. Here it is. Teams that didn't cover more than 28 points, that didn't happen, basically blown out. After they are blown out next week, they are 63% against the spread.
Wow.
So I think we're going to have to play the Raiders here. And you're right. I don't know what we've seen in the Raiders. I sent a conspiracy theory video to our mutual friend just off Instagram, and it said, Josh McDaniels is a genius. He's going to make them tank this year, get rid of Derek Carr, because Derek Carr is going to cost them $110 million next year on the salary cap. You boot them out of here because they tank, they draft number 1 overall, and they get a new quarterback. That's the theory that's on.
That's why Mark Davis is meeting with Josh McDaniels after every loss for an hour. He's like, good job. Keep it up. Do this again the next week. I saw a similar conspiracy, but different, where Josh McDaniels is actually doing an inside job for Bill Belichick, because every Bill Belichick assistant that goes out in the world sucks, and you tank another team. And it just so happens his assistants have gone to the Dolphins in the AFC East, or the Jets in the AFC East, or the Raiders in the AFC West. It just happens to be AFC quite a bit, so that's something to look at.
So you would take the Jags here. You think they're bolstering up,
the
getting
Jags
ready
all the way. And the other game, Mike.
Do we want to make that? We could do a little bet here. I'm gonna take Raiders. Our mutual friend really wanted us to gamble against each other, but we can just keep a tally going.
I just want to be right against you. Yeah. So okay. So give me the Jags. The other one I'm going to be right about, and I was right about this on last Monday night. And I know when I identify the Easter eggs, you like them. When I identify a home crowd who's about to get lit, because they don't have many primetime games. Ooh. Cleveland on Halloween stood out to me, and it was a raucous scene, and that crowd did help them on Monday. This Monday, we have the Ravens at the Saints inside a dome in New Orleans in November. That crowd will be lit up. And oh, wait, the Saints are a home dog for this Monday night crowd, like the Browns were last Monday night. That dome gets loud, Mike. Andy Dalton is playing better. He's not losing games like he was before.
Okay,
and Lamar and the Ravens, I don't know. They're coming off that Bucs game like a mini bye. Is that good or bad for the Ravens? I know they don't have Bateman. I know they don't have Gus Edwards. I know they don't have a bunch of guys that they're going to try to be counting on. I like the Saints.
So you believe fully in Andy Dalton? That's what you're basically telling me here.
No, I talked to you last week about why is Jameis healthy and not starting.
I don't know.
I just thought Andy played better last week. They are the team who beat the Raiders 24-0. That was a solid win.
We just have notes here. Stay away. That's what we wrote down. Stay away.
That's a good note.
We were scared. The only other game that I think might be a weird one to watch that I'm scared to bet, but I think we should bet, is Tennessee on the road at Kansas City, getting 11 points on the road. Seems like we shouldn't have bet it, but it might be the right move. Weird people beat KC. Indy beat them. Why can't Tennessee? Kind of the thought process there, but
Tannehill's still questionable. You can only do that bet if Tannehill plays.
Yes, only if Tannehill plays, but he's still sidelined today. I think I saw that, so that's up in the air. So we'll see what happens.
I agree.
That's it. That's all I got. Check out, sportshangover.com updated. You got your black hoodie.
Are they?
You got it up there?
Are they on there?
They're up there right now. I got multiple versions of it. We got large print in the middle. We got a corner print right there. We got it all. I actually just ordered one myself. I got the nice like champion sweater off the website. I can't wait to see it. It's new.
I'm excited. Hoodies coming in hot it's cold in LA. If you're in LA, not many of our listeners are, but it's been cold this week.
It rained today.
It rained this morning. I had to commute in the rain.
Oh my God, Jeremy. Miserable.
Yeah. At least I wasn't driving.
Check out the sportshangover.com. Everything is up there. All the swag. New swag all the time. I love putting some new swag up there. I'm actually trying to make some holiday versions of the Sports Hangover logo just for some holiday swag. We don't have any holiday swag. We only have like weird other shirts swag.
I agree. I love the festivities.
So do I. All right, good show. We'll be back next week.